We've all faced times where the Ks just don't look right, and in many of those times, we just don't want to wait around for the back office system's correct formula to catch up with the actual heating degree day versus consumption calculation. But what if it weren't the calculation that was the problem? If you'll bear with me, I want to give you two real-world examples of what I mean. These are two scenarios based upon actual weather and the associated consumption for two sets of three homes. Let's look at scenario one. We have three homes on the same block. We'll call them homes 1, 2, and 3. And each of them had the tanks filled on February the 1st, and then again on February the 22nd, they received another delivery. During that time span, from February 1st to the 22nd, there were 806 heating degree days. Each home received about 201 gallons. Then, on March 27th, each of the three homes received another delivery. After there had been another 809 heating degree days. Their delivery sizes for March 27th deliveries were: Home 1 got 202 gallons, Home 2, 135 gallons, and Home 3, 98 gallons. Why? What happened? What changes would you make to that scenario? Let's look at scenario 2. There are three other houses on the same block. We'll call them houses 4, 5, and 6. All of them had their tanks filled on July the 1st, and then again on December the 22nd. During that time span, from July through December, there were 1,596 heating degree days. Each home received about 200 gallons at the delivery on the 22nd. Then, on January 17th, each of the three homes received another delivery. And there had been another 791 heating degree days. Their delivery sizes were: for Home 4, 99 gallons, Home 5, 132 gallons, and Home 6, 198 gallons. Why? What happened? What changes would you have made? The problem with K-factor accounting or consumption is not that the homeowner is misbehaving. It is not that the back office system doesn't know how to do math. It is not that suddenly the homeowner expanded their house or went to Florida for a few months. The problem, and it seems to apply to most houses, is that the notion of, quote, X number of heating degree days equals Y number of gallons of consumption. It's only true in the middle of the winter. If the heating system is on for the entire period in between deliveries, then a true K can be calculated. However, once you peak outside the middle of the winter and include those days in your calculations, all bets are off. Let's try to answer some of these mysteries. Scenario 1 looks like three houses that have Ks of 4, 806 heating degree days, and 200 gallons of consumption. Pretty straightforward. So what happened during the next 800 heating degree days? Shouldn't there have been about 200 more gallons worth of consumption? Maybe the houses didn't really consume 1 gallon for every 4 heating degree days. The answer is that, indeed, these homes do consume 1 gallon every time there is 4 heating degree days. However, that's only if the system is on. They do have a usage K of 4, but while Home 1 kept the heat on the entire way through the delivery on March 27th, Home number 2 shut their heat off on March 14th, the first warm day of the early spring. And the heating degree days from the 14th to the 27th simply didn't cause any consumption. Furthermore, Home 3 followed the path of Home 2, but took a vacation starting the week of March 7th, and they only consumed fuel until that date, resulting in consumption that was limited to only about 100 gallons. The issue was not the K. The issue is simply whether or not the heating system was on. Scenario 2 appears to any outsider as a customer with a very high K. It took almost 1,600 heating degree days to consume about 200 gallons. Lacking any other information, this looks like a K factor of 8. So why did the next delivery to the three houses look so different from one another? Is the K of these houses really an 8? The answer is almost the polar opposite, pun intended, from scenario 1. Home 4 had its heat on the entire time period from July 1st till December 22nd, and it did consume about 200 gallons. During the days of December 22nd through July 17th, the 791 heating degree days caused consumption of 99 gallons because that house did have a K factor of 8. Home 5 has a K factor of 6, but didn't turn on their heating system for the winter until October 31st, therefore consuming 200 gallons from then until December 22nd. From December 22nd through January 17th, their K of 6 resulted in consumption of 132 gallons. The last home, Home 6, put on their heat around Thanksgiving time, November 24th, and has a true K of 4, resulting in a 200-gallon delivery on December 22nd and a great January 17th delivery of 198 gallons. The issue was not the K. The issue was whether or not the heating system was on. Seeing why things happened in the rearview mirror is always simple to understand, but we need a way to forecast tank levels, not a way to backtrack and figure out why things didn't turn out as expected. Each time there is a delivery made, the back office system uses its rearview mirror and adjusts. The adjustments are logical and they are conservative, exactly as they should be. If consumption exceeds expectations, the K will drop by a formulaic amount. If consumption was less than expected, a much more frequent occurrence, the K will rise, but disproportionately from the lowering of the K to avoid the increased likelihood of a future runout. If you as an owner or dispatcher are not pleased with the tempo of the formulaic changes of the K, you would join the club of K changers. You know who you are, and would manually make some changes, almost always more aggressively than the back office system formula, and often in overreaction. For those actually with an interest in the psychology of the manual changes as opposed to the formulaic, look up the term recency bias. It'll explain a lot about human nature, both yours and mine. Are remote monitors a solution? Are they the only solution? Simply stated, a monitor will tell you each day how much fuel is in the tank. Armed with that information and the proper delivery planning, you should avoid delivery surprises. It should be noted here that not every 200-gallon delivery is optimal. There's a lot more to optimal than simply the size of individual deliveries, but we'll leave that discussion for another day. The purpose of the monitor is to know the size of the delivery you will be making. However, monitors cost money, and in most cases, there's an ongoing fee. A depth alert. We happen to have a program that waives 100% of the monitoring fees, but again, for another discussion. Monitors take time to install, and not every monitor reports every single day. As bookends, if monitors, installation, and monitoring were free, you should have them on 100% of your tanks. If they cost thousands of dollars for a residential tank, you should have them on 0% of your tanks. The cost effectiveness is directly related to the benefits that can be achieved. Not only the knowing, but the value of knowing. Better put, monitors should be on tanks that you don't know how big the deliveries will be. For those tanks that you do know the delivery size, and there are many of them, you're likely better off without a monitor. How do you know which is which? As always, the answer is in your data. Analyzing your deliveries can be a manual process or an automated process, just like many other things. It can be based on averages, histograms, standard deviations, etc. We prefer to point out extremes after we analyze data. We start at opposite ends of the spectrum. I don't want to use the term polar opposites again. We would tell you which tanks need monitors the most and which need them the least. Working from both ends towards the middle has the effect of driving your average predictability up in an accelerated manner. If you find your biggest outliers formulaically, each tank to which you add a monitor will provide a bigger benefit than the one that follows. There are things we know, and we should conclude with that. Everyone hates runouts. Homeowners turn on and off their heating systems in very unpredictable ways. Deliveries are generally smaller than anticipated. Ks adjust by back office systems conservatively due to their formulaic nature. Manual adjustments are often overreactions. Monitors are not needed on all tanks. And lastly, selecting which tanks benefit the most from monitors can be an automated process.